Hi, my name is Daudi Mugabi and this is Business Mike episode 40. My guest today is Judith Owigar. She's the founder of AkiraChix, a Kenyan NGO that teaches underprivileged women how to use technology. In this episode, Judith discusses some of the lessons she's learned at AkiraChix as well as the opportunities in the Kenyan tech industry for women. All this and more next on Business Mike. Thank you so much, Judith, for joining us today on Business Mike. Could you just briefly tell us about yourself and what you do?
Okay, so I'm a female entrepreneur, mainly in the technology sector. I work on a nonprofit called AkiraChix, where we empower young women through training in technology and entrepreneurship. And the organization helps me blend all my passions in one mission.
Right, and what were you doing before you started AkiraChix, and how did you transition to it? What inspired you to start AkiraChix?
Okay, so I was inspired to start AkiraChix when I was in campus. And what happened, it was my first day of campus and there were very few women in my class. We were 5 out of a class of 40. And it seemed to be an achievement to be a woman in the computer science class. And for me, it made me question myself, like, why am I doing this course? Aren't girls supposed to be in this course? And it made me feel very uncomfortable. But over the course of my 4 years of doing my degree, I knew and I found out that girls can do computer science just as much as boys. But still now, even after I finished my degree, I went into the workforce, there are still very few women who are being represented. So what happened is I met other girls who were of a similar vision that I had, that, we need to have more women in technology. And that's really how we decided to start AkiraChix, so that we could have a support network for women to consider technology as a career and for women to stay in the field of technology. Now, before I actually went on AkiraChix, working for AkiraChix, I used to work for a Japanese NGO where I was the IT engineer, which pretty much means I was the jack of all. I was the programmer. I was the same person who did tech support. I even did graphic design. And how I transitioned from that job to AkiraChix is I just left that job. Yeah, so that's pretty much how it was.
So was AkiraChix another job, basically? Were you making money from it, or it was just a project?
It was just a project. We were not making money from it, but I felt that it had a lot of impact. And anyways, even though I had a job, I was spending more time on AkiraChix than on my job. And I felt that was unfair to my employer. So I went full-time on AkiraChix without a salary for quite some time.
So how do you build an organization like this one from the ground up? So basically it's you and a few other friends starting an organization. So what is happening at the ground level?
Okay, so we have a number of programs. We have our training program where we train young women from low-income areas. And it's a free 1-year training program. We train in mobile application development, web development, graphic design, and entrepreneurship. For that program, we work with community-based organizations in the slums, and they're the ones who forward the students to us, although the girls have to go through our application process. Our second program is our high school outreach, where we go to different high schools and we teach the girls how to program or to do graphic design. For this program, it's mainly young women who have approached us. So what happened is that we used to go and give career talks in different schools. So from those career talks, it moved from one meeting, like the girls kept on asking us to come back. So we started doing a class, and that happened in one school. And then we went to a second school, and now we're in a third school. And now as other students hear about what we're doing, they want us to come to their schools. All this is for free. But over the holiday, we have a high school boot camp where girls from different schools can come and participate in our boot camp. Now, for that one, we actually advertise on social media, in supermarkets, we put up posters. And then our third program is our kids program, where now we target young children in primary school. It's the similar concept to the high school program. Although the main point of the kids program is our kids camp that we hold over the school holidays, and that one we charge. So we also do a lot of advertising on social media and using posters. Our fourth program is our community building program, and this is where we have events and meetups. And this one we mainly advertise over social media because we have membership, online membership, where people can subscribe to our mailing list. So many people know about our activities from our blog and from our mailing list.
And on average, how many, can I say, students do you have at any given time?
On average, we have, I'll say 20, because last year we had a class of 26, and this year we have a class of 17. So we decided to reduce the numbers so that we could be more focused on the students.
Right. So when you say you move from one school to another, it's one school at a time. It's not like you're in two different schools at the same time.
We actually are. For our high school program, we're in 3 different schools at the same time.
Right, and there's one of you teaching these children.
No, yes. So we get trainers from our community to come and train the girls.
Right, and what kind of, for instance, for the primary children, what kind of skills are you imparting on them? Is it programming? Is it just how to use a computer? What are you teaching them when they are at that age?
So for the primary school students, we teach them programming. We have been using MIT Scratch, but usually before we go into the programming class, we do some design thinking so that they can get into the frame of mind of problem solving, because programming is all about solving problems. Then we teach them MIT Scratch, and then even as we teach them MIT Scratch, we are starting to get a lot of demand for more complex coding. So we're going to introduce HTML, CSS. Yeah.
Right. And at what point did you know that AkiraChix was actually something that could actually work? When did you feel that, okay, we're onto something big here?
When I was still working, though we didn't have money, I just knew it would be big. Like, I don't know if there's one thing I can say that one big aha moment. Because I was working on AkiraChix at the same time I was doing my job. And I felt more drawn to doing the AkiraChix work. And I just felt that if I gave it more time, it would take off. What can I say? I just knew. That is not an answer people are looking for, but what can I say? I just knew, and I believed that it would happen, So I just knew.
Right. And what opportunities has AkiraChix presented to the women who've actually gone through it? Are there any stories of people that you've taught that have gone on to do some great things?
Yes. So we have one student of ours who went through our training program. She came from a slum, and she actually had trouble coming to school because of lack of transport, or sometimes, she needed to leave early to make money so that she can, take care of herself, even food. But she managed to graduate from the training program, and she started 2 shops where she's selling things. At the same time, she's working as a research assistant at a technology research company. And just recently, she told me she got a scholarship to go to university. So that's really great for her. And then there's another student who went through our training program, and she currently works for the UX lab. She's a user experience designer. So it's really nice to see that the students, despite the fact that our main focus was graphic design and programming, they can still take the basics and branch into the different specialities in the technology industry.
Right. And how long does it take for a student to go through your, can I call it a course? How long do they stay with you?
So for our training program, the students stay for 1 year.
You mentioned earlier on that there's a criteria you actually use before accepting students. What's that criteria?
So, number 1, they should have finished high school. They should have scored a minimum of C- in the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education. There's a new criteria we just introduced last year, which was they should be out of school for 1 year. The reason why we decided that is because by the time they're out of school for 1 year, they've had some time to think about their lives. Of course, there's the issue that they didn't have school fees to go to campus. So that 1 year helps us weed out people who are not serious, because sometimes we've taken girls who are straight out of school and they just think that this is just another high school that's been sponsored, but that's not what we are. And then they must show interest in technology, not just say that they're interested in technology, but they must know about something that's happening in technology that will show us of interest. They must come from a low income area, so we must verify that they cannot pay school fees. So that's pretty much the criteria.
Right. And initially, how did you get the word out about AkiraChix? Because the people listening here who maybe have programs that they want to run or businesses that they want to build, but then getting the word out, creating awareness is sometimes a challenge. How did you go about that?
Is this creating awareness for the students or for the funders?
Well, actually both, because AkiraChix as an organization, for you need to let the students know that you exist as well as the founders. So how did you go about that from both aspects?
So for the students, in the first year, we met a group of graduates from a training school. And then these graduates had a vision of starting something similar to AkiraChix. The thing is, these were young men. They were actually young men who came from the slums. So we told them of our vision of doing a similar program, but for young women. And we asked them to help us identify young women to come to our training program. So they went back to the slums and they talked to different CBOs, and that's how we got our first crop of young women. Over time, these young men left and they had other things to do, but we still continued with the vision. And that's when we realized that we needed to have our own separate partnerships with community-based organizations. And that is something we have been very keen on maintaining those relationships. Now, for our funders, one of the things we realized was it's just like how you do your customers. Who is your funder? Who is the person who's most likely to fund you? And where they look. So for us, most of our funders are not in Kenya. They're mainly, you can say, in America or Europe. And so for us to get word out, we needed to use social media. So the good thing is that we are women in technology, and we pretty much know how to use social media. So we used Facebook and Twitter, and we made sure we always maintained a blog so that people could keep track of what we are doing. And then, over time, once a funder is interested, they will want to come on the ground to see what you're doing, or they'll start talking to other funders or other people who are on the ground to just verify that you're actually doing what you say you're doing. So that's really how we've gotten the word out.
Right. And with all your experience, what advice would you give someone listening that wants to start a tech business, particularly here in Africa?
Well, I'd say one of the things I can say is that you need a lot of persistence, because it's not easy. It's very hard to access, be it credit or funding here in Africa. So, and I know also it's very hard to get like the rich friends and family who will support your vision. Many times there'll be a lot of opposition. So you need to be persistent and you need to be courageous enough to believe in your idea. Sometimes, no, all the time you need to believe in yourself more than other people believe in you. It's like when people see you having faith in yourself, that's when they start believing in you. Another piece of advice I can give people is make sure you find a business model that works early enough. Because applying for grants is good, but it's not sustainable. So you need to figure out a business model. And for any organization, the honest truth is that cash is king. So you need to figure out your business model. And of course, you must have the vision. You must have a vision of where you want to be. Yeah. And of course, the money is the enabler. So despite the fact that many people don't talk about money, you'll realize that money is really the root of all problems in the organization, either the lack of it or too much of it. So, yeah.
At the beginning of this interview, you mentioned how you are one of the few women doing technology in both your class and workplace. At this particular moment, what does the landscape look like for women technology experts in Kenya particularly?
I think it has definitely improved. There is more representation. At least you can go into a workspace and see more women working there. The women in technology are more visible. What I can say is for a number of the young women who we started AkiraChix with, many have gone on to start their own companies. Actually, most of them, over 70%, have gone on to start their own companies. Some have gotten other jobs or gotten promotions. So I feel like having a space like AkiraChix has been an enabler for women to get into the field of technology, to stay in the field of technology, and to succeed in the field of technology. So it's definitely not where I want it to be. My goal is to have 50-50 representation, but I feel like we are getting closer.
Right. So what is the ultimate goal of AkiraChix?
To have equal representation of women in technology, and also to have more women using technology to create solutions that can impact their communities. That is the ultimate goal.
Right, because to be honest, when you look at technology, using a phone as an example, you'll find that it's adopted by both male and female users. But I would argue that the females actually use the phone a lot more than the guys. However, when you look at the back end, it's the guys producing more of what everyone is using. And I think what you're trying to achieve here is to have more women having an input in some of the applications and everything we use in our society and lives.
Yeah, that's exactly what we want to do.
Right. So can you just tell us any cool stories that you've experienced at AkiraChix? I know there are a few people, 2 men in particular, that are very, very important that you've had the privilege of meeting. But I don't know if maybe there are any other cool stories that you've experienced over there at AkiraChix.
Yeah, well, there are definitely very many good stories. Of course, there's the one where I was able to share a panel with President Obama and President Uhuru of Kenya. That was a great honor during the Global Entrepreneurship Summit. We have been privileged to host Ban Ki-moon, the UN Secretary General. It was really good. And for me, I really believe in God. And there's this verse that says that your gift will take you before kings. And for a very long time, I didn't know what my gift was. Like even currently, I cannot pinpoint what it is. But I mean, what I have been doing has made me go before kings, and that's really awesome. Yeah, and I think just being able to meet different people from all over the world who share our vision, it's just been a great experience. Like I can't even summarize it in a sentence or in a paragraph. Like it's been worth it, So it's been definitely worth it.
Are there any other versions of AkiraChix in different countries? I know in the Middle East they're very, very tech savvy, and as well as Europe and North America. Have you had an opportunity to interact with other women entrepreneurs in the tech industry outside Kenya and Africa?
Yes. So we've been able to interact with an organization called Women in Technology Uganda. It's based out of Hive Collab. So I work very closely with Barbara Birungi, the one who runs it. We've been able to work very closely with Asikana Network in Zambia. We actually share a lot of knowledge and share a lot of information. And then one of the great ones is we've been able to work with Anita Borg Institute in the US. They support some of our activities. And there are also just a number of other individual women who we have met from different parts of the world who have grown to be great supporters of our work. And we support their work in their different countries.
Wow, that's very interesting. If you had an opportunity to travel back in time, knowing what you know now, if you could meet yourself at the age of 18, what book would you give yourself, and what movie would you recommend yourself to watch?
The movie I would recommend myself to watch is August Rush. Yeah, it's about a child prodigy who becomes a conductor. I really just love that movie. There's something about it that just inspires me to follow my dream and, to not really care what other people think, just do me. So I definitely give myself August Rush. The book I would read, that one I have to think about.
All right, no problem. How can people connect with you on social media or a website in case they want to learn more about AkiraChix? I also noticed that on your website, you have a part there where people can volunteer. What kind of volunteering are you looking for?
Okay, so if people want to reach me via social media, they can go on my Twitter handle. It's at Owigar J. That's my last name, then a J. I think that's the best way I would advise. Or if they want to send an email, they can say judith@AkiraChix.com. If they want to volunteer for AkiraChix, they can just go to our website, fill in the form. So we base our volunteers depending on the program. If it's the training program, we always need mentors, and we encourage young women to volunteer to be mentors to the students. This could be peer mentorship, it's career mentorship. You don't have to be in the field of technology. All we want is a transfer of knowledge from your experiences and to work with the girls for the period of 1 year. If it's our high school program or our kids program, we are always looking for trainers and trainers' assistants. Because sometimes when you're teaching the young children how to program or the young girls how to program, you can't just do it on the blackboard. You need somebody on the machine. And because we do it in schools, we have a limited time during clubs time. It's always good to have a number of people walking around. For our community building program, the volunteers we require are people who would like to speak during meetups, during conferences, also people who would like to help us organize events or our conference. So that's really the scope of volunteering we have, but it's not limited to that. If you have ideas of how you would like to volunteer with us, you want to bring in, your legal expertise, you want to bring in your graphic design expertise, your video editing expertise, that is all welcome.
Right. Any chance that book has come to mind?
Oh, yes. I think I'd give myself The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. The book is not really about success as we see it. I feel it's more about your personal journey. And as I grow older, I'm not very old, but as I grow older, I think one thing I'm beginning to appreciate is that I'm on my own personal journey. Many people have different expectations for me, where I'm supposed to be at this point in my life, what I'm supposed to be doing. But I just need to be true to myself and find my true north. I know that sounds like very cliche or whatever, but I feel like that's what has given me the best satisfaction. Just knowing who I am, why I'm doing what I'm doing, and being true to myself.
Right. So thank you once again, Judith, for joining us today on Business Mike. We wish you all the very best with AkiraChix, and I definitely look forward to catching up with you and learning more about the people you're helping with AkiraChix.
Okay. Thank you, Daudi.
Thank you so much for listening to Business Mike today. And if you'd like to listen to more episodes just like this one, simply go to businessmike.com. I would love to hear from you. So if you've got any questions or suggestions about the show, simply drop me an email at daudi@businessmike.com. Thanks again for listening, and until next Monday, take care.